Man, that Alex Murdaugh trial was crazy, but riveting. A lot of performance going on in it. Not that it stopped the fate of a jury unanimously finding that Alex Murdaugh slaughtered his wife and son. Here's a taste.
Did you see them on the ground when you're pulling up in your Suburban?
I did.
And what'd you do when you came to a stop, Alec?
I think I jumped out of my car. I'm not exactly sure what I did. I called 911. I was on the phone with 911, and I was trying to tend to Pawpaw. I was trying to tend to Maggie. And I just went back and forth between them.
So it wasn't the evidence that changed the mind of the South Carolina Supreme Court. It was, I said Carolina because that's my daughter's name, spelled the same way. South Carolina Supreme Court focused on what? Well, it being a fair trial because this court clerk, Becky Hill, said tons of stupid stuff that she shouldn't have said. And they wound up making a case against her. She got probation. So this was about her, not about what was presented to the jury, okay? And she got dealt with. She didn't get any time, but whatever. Now they have to retry the case, and South Carolina's Attorney General says they will aggressively seek to retry Murdaugh, but here's the good news and the bad news. The good news for Murdaugh with this decision, because putatively it is good news for him, right, getting a new trial, is they won't be able to present the same amount of financial crimes as motives for his descent into madness and what may have triggered him and all these other arguments they made. We don't know how much they'll be able to use, but it won't be as much. So may that change the outcome. That was a big part of their case. The bad news is he was convicted of those financial crimes, and he's not going anywhere for like 25 years. So let's talk about what this means for the future of this case with his lawyer, Mr. Jim Griffin. Counsel, it's been a minute. Good to see you again.
Great to see you, Chris. It has been a while, but here we are again, right?
Right. Now, I understand that you are not shocked by this decision, that you were shocked by what Becky Hill was shown to have done, and that you believe it didn't create a fair trial for your client, and that this is the only reasonable outcome. What do you think happens in the retrial, if there is one?
Well, first, I mean, we weren't shocked. We were totally shocked about her conduct and what we unearthed. And the Supreme Court did the right thing. They followed the rule of law, and they delivered justice. Alec was denied a fair trial. And you and many other members of the media reporting on this talk about how the jury did not believe Alec, how they found him guilty, et cetera. But what no one wants to really focus on is this jury was tainted. This jury was lobbied. This jury had the second highest court official in the whole process, back in the jury room, outside everyone's presence, telling the jury, don't believe the defense, don't believe Alex Murdaugh, and in so many words, he's guilty. And so thank goodness we get to do this again with a jury that's not tampered with. And as the Supreme Court ruled, the evidence, last trial, we spent 2 weeks of hearing evidence of Alec's financial crimes, to which he had never denied, And that, if we have a next trial, which I believe we will, and hopefully sooner than later, I mean, it will be about the state's evidence of murder, what evidence they have and what evidence they don't have. And so, you know, we're looking forward to that process, and it will be a fair process.
Well, we'll see if it's a fair process. But look, there are counterfactuals. Right. There are counterfactuals. It just doesn't really matter because you won the case and you're getting a new trial. You know, I mean, there are arguments to be made that many of the jurors said that they never even heard nor paid attention to what Becky Hill said. Other jurors who did hear it say it was not a basis for their determination, but that doesn't matter. The Supreme Court thought it was prejudicial, and they have ordered a new trial, and there will be one. My question to you is this, and without the financial crimes, won't the jury still be confronted with the same kind of overriding reality, which is It had to be him. Who else could it have been? There is no other story that makes anywhere near as much sense as the one the prosecution tells.
Well, as we pointed out in the first trial, and I tried to point out in my closing, the state law enforcement investigators were singularly focused on Alex Murdaugh and ignored evidence of other potential murderers. I mean, Chris, there were tire tracks driving away from the murder scene that were never followed. In fact, they were trampled over. There was DNA under Maggie's fingernails, male DNA that was not DNA of Alex or any other family members. That was never put in the CODIS. That has never been followed up on. I mean, there's a lot of things that were not done, and so we didn't have the ability to do any of that. I mean, we don't have that ability, but now, and I'll tell you, since the first trial, we have been provided information that gives us a list of other potential suspects. Now, I'm not here on.
That's what I wanted to talk to you about.
Who those people are
How
tonight.
How confident are you in that? I'm not asking you to give it away to me, but, well, of course I am. I'm a reporter and I'm selfish. I would love for you to give it away to me. But I understand what you're going to do, and you're going to do it the right way. And by the way, you've been a hell of a lawyer for this guy. And as you know, I've said that many times. But he was there, okay? It's not like they just focused on him because they don't like him or he had a reputation. He was there, Jim. That's the problem.
Chris, he was there before and he was there after. There's no evidence that he was there at the time of the murder. I mean, we don't even know when the murder happened. The state's evidence and their whole theory of the time of death is cessation of use of cell phones. And we know Paul's cell phone's battery was running out. I mean, so there's no time of death. There's no eyewitnesses. There's nothing to set the time of death. You may remember the coroner who gave an estimate of time of death. What was his test? He put his thumb under the armpits of Maggie and Paul to guesstimate what time of death it was.
Absence of evidence is not evidence of absence, right? Barry Scheck taught us that about DNA and why you can't rely on it too heavily. But one of the reasons maybe his phone died is because of all the social media he was doing while he was there and his Snapchat conversation from the kennel, which also kind of exposed that his story had not been factually accurate as first told.
No, he lied. And, anybody who remembers the first trial, Alec got on the stand and said, I lied. And he said,
why?
And
who lies about the circumstances surrounding the death of their wife and son?
Well, Alex Murdaugh lied about the circumstances surrounding the death of his wife and son, and he told you why. He was standing there with a shotgun in his hand by his truck with his dead wife and his dead son, and he had a pocket full of pills. He was a drug addict, and he said he overcame with this drug paranoia, and he lied. And once he started to lie, he continued to lie. And that was his explanation. I'll tell you what, that explanation holds more water than the state's theory of motive that he would have gone home and executed his son and his wife because they were asking him and his law firm, where is $750,000?
I don't need to tell you this. I'm just saying it for the audience. Motive is incredibly enticing. I may do a new podcast all about motive. It is not an element of the crime. The jury wants to hear about it, but it is not necessary to a criminal case. It is not part of the act or the intent. But you're right. Well, it is a big part of the story.
Well, there's no doubt about that. But here's what happened in the first trial. The state and the Supreme Court has now said, Creighton Waters, Alan Wilson, your team went too far with this financial crime evidence as a motive. And it was really a character assault. And you can't do that either. So what we had was improper character assault on top of jury tampering. And we get a guilty verdict. Now, we're going to go back for a retrial, and we're going to fight like hell to get a jury who is unbiased and fair. And we're going to focus on the state's evidence and morally so focus on the lack of evidence.
Well, Jim, I'll be watching it. It is hard to argue with, you looked up this situation, you made the Becky Hill case, you brought it up, and you won. And now you get a retrial. I don't know what else your client could ask for. So we'll be watching going forward. Thank you for taking the opportunity tonight.
I appreciate the opportunity to be here, Chris.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our NewsNation app right now on your phone, and you will get fact-based, unbiased news for all Americans.